Hello and welcome back to Homeschool Together Reviews. If you have a chance, hit that subscribe button down below and get more reviews into your YouTube inbox. Today, I'm going to be showing how humble of a man I am by talking about the game that my 5-year-old smokes me on a regular basis, and that is the game of Sleeping Queens. And this has a lot of variations, and I'm going to show you 2 ways to play this game. One with the actual game, and if you have a family member who loves playing this game, you don't happen to have it, I'm going to show you how to take a pack of bicycle cards and play what I call not Sleeping Queens, but Sleeping Kings and Queens. And I'll show you a variation on how to do that if you happen to be stuck somewhere, you just have a deck of cards. We'll go ahead and show you how to play that as well. So let's get into it and take a look. All right, so I've gone ahead and done a preliminary setup on the game, and we'll talk about the various pieces of the game. So first of all, the first thing you're going to be noticing is that you have 12 queen cards, and underneath every one of these is a wonderful queen. We have the cat queen here. We have the starfish queen, and every one of these queens is kind of themed in some way. So here we are, and we've got to go ahead and place all those face down. We don't know what queen is which. Now, inside the deck of cards that you're going to be dealt are a number of types of cards. So the first one is just kind of numerical cards that have kind of these icons. A great way to count how many things there are. Great for number recognition, especially those early learners. The first thing that we'll want to talk about is the kings. So if you happen to draw a king into your hand, you then will play that king in order to claim a queen. And very often the kings are kind of silly and funny, and this is a bubblegum king. Also included in is a means of taking cards. So here, let's talk a little bit about how to take a card. So if your opponent has a queen that you have claimed and she's in your stack, you have the ability to play the knight in order to take that queen and put her into your hand. And once you play that on your turn, if they do not have a defense card, which is a dragon, you'll be able to take that queen. But if the other player has a dragon in their hand, they can immediately play that and say, "Not today, knight, I will protect my queen." You have another way of attacking a queen here is with the potion, to put that queen back to sleep, because all these queens are sleeping. If you play that and the other player does not have the wand to counteract the sleeping potion, they'll have to put that queen back to sleep. But if they do, they can immediately play the wand and say, "Not today, Mr. Booza, you cannot put my queen to sleep." Finally, we have a jester card, and what the jester card allows you to do is that when you play the jester card, you take the top card off the deck. If it is a face card, meaning one of these action cards or a king, you get to take that immediately into your hand. But if it's not, and it's a number card, you begin counting. And we always count from the person who played the card. So if we have, say, 3 players, we would count we'd say 1, 2, or if it's just 2 players, we'd go 1, 2. That person now gets to choose a queen off of the sleeping area. So it's kind of a gamble. If you play the jester here and you get say a 10, now you start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I get to choose a queen and put her into my spot. An additional variation of the game allows you to play a little bit of math. So let me go ahead and set up the hands, and we'll see how that is played. Okay. So here we are. I've dealt 5 cards, and 5 cards is the number you play to. Now normally you would have these into your hand, and the players across from you would not be able to see your cards, but I'm going to play them face up so we can kind of see how the game is played. So okay, the queens are all sleeping. We have our draw pile, we have our discard pile, we have our hands that are dealt, and it's going to be player 1. This is going to be player 2. So we'll start with player 1 and say, okay, what card would you like to play first? Well, of course, I want to play the Hat King. And that will mean I'll get to draw a queen, and I'll put her into my queen area. She's the ladybug queen. And then I draw back up to 5. Ooh, lucky me, I got another king. So now it is the player 2's turn, and we're going to take the bubblegum king, play him, and come up and, ooh, I got to draw a new knight. And I'm going to go here and claim my queen. And here's the pancake queen with the big dabs of butter on her pancakes there. And then we'll go ahead and continue. So now it's the next person's turn. Obviously I'm going to play the puzzle king. I'll draw back up to 5, and I get to take a queen. Ooh, the peacock queen. And then we go ahead and come over to here. Well, this person doesn't have anything. He can contemplate potentially stealing, and if he wants to take a gamble. So let's say he does. He says, "I want to steal one of your queens." and you come over and we wait for the player 1 to say, do you have a dragon? They do not. So they get to take whatever queen they want. You draw back up to 5, and yeah, they draw back up to 5, and then you continue the game. So player 1 says, well, you know, forget that. Why don't you put that pancake queen back to sleep? But the person says, haha, not today. I have a wand in order to block you putting my queen back to sleep. And so now they come back and you draw back up to 5, and they draw back up to 5 as well. And so that's what you continue to do. Now, imagine if we just wanted to discard a card. You can go ahead, let's say, actually, let me flip this around. Let's say this person has 2 8s, and this person has a 5. Let's say the player doesn't want to play any of these cards just yet. They're face cards. So obviously this is to put something to sleep. This is to defend. So that's a card you want to probably hold, and then you have this Jester card. You just say, you know what, I want to just get rid of 1 card. I can get rid of my 5 and go ahead and place that there, and I get to draw a new card, and I can do that as a turn. Over here, the player doesn't want to try and go for a steal because he suspects that possibly the glint in the other person's eye knew that they drew a dragon on their last turn and says, okay, well, I'm going to get rid of 2 cards, and they have to be the same. You can't do an 8 and a 6. You can do 2 8s. Go ahead and play there, and then you get to draw 2 cards in this case, and put that here, and so on and so forth. Now there are a more advanced version of the discarding cards, drawing new cards action, and that is to add a little bit of math. So if you can build a math equation, and you can go as complex as you want, I would say you go ahead and say, well, 4 plus 6 is 10, and those are 3 cards you can go ahead and discard, and allows you to draw 3 new cards. So let's continue with our math examples. Let's say player 2 here has a 5, a 2, some 2 2s, and a 1. And we can say, well, 5 minus 2 minus 2 is 1. And that is a good equation. Go ahead and build that, and you get to discard that, and you get to draw up to 4 cards. So you can allow the math to be as complex as you want as that person is drawing up. Now, let's take a look at and see what happens with the Jester. This player 2 has decided to play the Jester. So we go ahead and flip the cards, and it says 1. So that means we count from the person who played the cards. So player 2 says 1, and player 1 then goes ahead and gets to draw a card. And lucky for us, we have drawn the Rose Queen, and that is the only special card and queen in the game, which means you get to draw another queen. So we've gone ahead and gotten the Sunflower Queen. And that is basically how to play the game. There's one other rule where the Cat Queen and the Dog Queen cannot be together. So if you draw the Dog Queen and you already have the Cat Queen, let's see if we can find those 2 there. There's the Cat Queen, and there's the Dog Queen. So if you happen to already have the Cat Queen in your pile and you go draw the Dog Queen, you cannot have that. Cats and dogs cannot live together, contrary to what anyone says. Therefore, you cannot play that, and you have to put that queen back to sleep, and you lose your turn, and you continue on. Now, this is the game, and we continue to play until the person who wins typically has 5 queens, and then you go ahead at the end of the game and you add up your queens. So there's a chance that even though you get the 5th queen, there's still a chance that you potentially lose because you could have high value queens on the one side of the board, and you have low value queens here, with the potential that you might actually lose the game because player 4, I believe, has a higher score than player 1. And then all of a sudden you've triggered the end of the game, but player 2 wins because it's a higher point. So you do have to be aware of that. We love to play and remind our children to make sure they keep that math going in the head. And so if you have a younger learner who maybe can't do that type of math, pull out your abacus so they can keep rolling score. It's a great way to go. Or ask the parent in order to count it up for them and be able to hold that number in their head and compare that against what the others have. So hopefully this helped you. I'm going to go ahead and show you the variation of using just a deck of cards to play a similar version of this game. So here we are with a simple deck of cards, just the bicycle cards, and I've gone ahead and drawn out the kings and the queens, and I've separated the aces and the jacks as well, and looks like I have 1 joker. Typically we have 2, and we're playing a very similar game where the kings and the queens are asleep, and the aces and the jacks are essentially the cards that are going to trigger you to draw from the pile. So in this case, where we would normally put our queens to sleep, here we're going to put our kings and our queens to sleep. in this manner. And then again, the same rules apply. So we will have all of these cards put into here. Now you can make a choice on how low you want these cards to go. So if you want to take out the 10s and the 9s and the 8s, you can go ahead and pull those out to make a smaller deck. So I'll go ahead and build a few hands and we'll see how that plays. So here we are with our 2 hands, and what we're going to do is play very similar rules. And again, your house rules can be different. You can use the 10s maybe as like the stealing cards, and the 9s are blocking cards, whatever that might be. Whatever rules you want to do, you can take a deck of cards and play a similar version to Kings and as to Sleeping Queens, and call it Kings and Queens. Same rules apply here as well. You got the 5 cards. Let's say they don't want to play just yet because they want to preserve their draw cards. So they say, well, I'm going to play a little bit of a math equation. Say 2 plus 4 is equals to 6, and it'll allow me to draw 3 new cards. This player 2 over here says, well, I'm going for it. I'm going to play the ace, and I get to draw a card here, and I got the King of Hearts. You can also have additional rules where you can't have the same suits, or maybe you can only have 2 of the same suit in your hand as you draw up to say the winner is 3 queens and 3 kings, or 3 kings, or 3 combinations of either kings and queens here, here. And say, okay, that's great. You can only, or maybe you're not allowed to have the same suit. Maybe you could say it's got to be all different suits for you to win. That could be kings or queen combos, doesn't matter. And they go ahead and play, and they draw a new card here as a 10, and then you can just keep playing. So it's a great way to kind of approximate the Sleeping Queens game while also playing with just a deck of cards. Super cheap and easy way to kind of have that same level of fun. Well, I hope that walkthrough of Sleeping Queens and my little kind of variation using the bicycle cards showed you exactly how you can have a little bit of fun if you don't have a version of Sleeping Queens with you. Maybe you're out camping, or you just want to keep a pack of bicycle cards in the car to play if you're ever at like a restaurant or something like that, just to kill a little bit of time, or a doctor's office. Sleeping Queens by Gamewright. Gamewright's one of our favorite game companies. You can't go wrong with the Gamewright games. That's kind of our rule. Sleeping Queens is one of the best games for, especially with early learners, and you can see from all the math, number recognition, pairs, identifying cards and their actions, playing cards, having strategy, drawing up queens, remembering that certain queens can't do certain things and some queens have additional actions, understanding your adding of total numbers at the very end. You can see it's just littered with math concepts, drawing concepts, strategy, a lot of great things. Also, just holding cards in the hand is just kind of an underappreciated skill for especially early learners, being able to hold a bunch of cards in the hands. We have played this game as low as 4 years old with both of our kids. You can play it in probably about 15 minutes at the most. You can play about 2 to 4 people, I believe, and you can get it for about, I think, $20. A lot of times it's on sale for the holidays. So I hope this review of Sleeping Queens has helped you make a good decision to put this game into your homeschool and add a little bit of fun to your daily day.